So I imagine both in PBT and in PBZ today, we're going to see him opening very similar to the way that he's doing right now, which is adept into Stargate. Yeah, we'll see exactly where he decides to go from here. So I think it's 2 oracles on the field right now, actually going for a 3rd oracle. As of yet, not able to find any damage. His stats. And Dark being quite passive here with his drone transfers too. Nothing here at this 3rd base quite yet. Spore crawlers being made.
Yeah.
Nice safe play, zoning out these oracles as well.
Oracle's not even going to get close to getting anything just yet. Having enough adepts that you kind of can't be killed by anything. And we've got a Nydus network coming down here.
Yeah, we've got a Nydus network coming in, so Dark feeling a little bit aggressive here in game number 1 against Stats. As so far, Stats unaware of that Nydus network. Looks like he's going to try and put on some pressure here with these handful of adepts and these 3 oracles. But keep in mind, the queen count, it's quite high. These adepts,
God.
definitely going to cancel those.
But had he gone up the ramp, he would have seen the Nydus.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's a really unfortunate miss there. Look, this is basically, if we were going to see Stats lose, this is probably the way to do it, is some kind of very sharp attack that's going to come in and you know, decapitate him before the game really picks up. Now, I thought the Nydus was going to be made in the main, but in fact, it's going to be made just in between the 3rd base and the 2nd base.
Yeah, Dark sends in the Overlords to the main base and sees there's no gaps in Stats' vision, so instead going to be pushing here between the natural and the 3rd. And these queens, that's a lot of lings as well. It's going to be tough for Stats to defend this. And now Nydus Canal going up in the main base. Shield battery finished here at the natural expansion. That Nydus is getting reloaded right now with lings back at the home base.
There is a cannon that's warped in over here at the natural.
Stats is unaware of this, so this is going to do a lot of damage.
And I love the double Nydus. I almost wish we saw this a little bit more here. He is going to try to target down that Nydus. I only see two.
Oh, it can't transfuse. Oh, it barely gets onto Creep's head. Oh my goodness.
The transfuses are insane.
Barely. And there's another Nydus.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's exactly why you want to get 2. Those transfuses were wild, man. And now, you know, all the infrastructure is under threat right now. He's going to get another Nydus. He's actually bringing this right out in the front to just rally more units on top of this. There's only 1 Oracle left. It's extremely low on HP. It could be sniped by these queens, and it is. And am I wrong? I feel like this game is almost over here. I would imagine with the next plume of lings that comes out, we're just going to see Stats have to tap out.
I think it has to be. I mean, there's 2 gateways in the Stargate right here in the main base about to be unpowered. I don't think these shield batteries are going to get up. 20 more lings in production. Those will be reinforcing very soon. And Stats for now, he's trying his best to hold on, but this is looking quite dire. I mean, I feel like it's going to take a miracle here. That's so many queens in. All right, so we're going to have another cheeky strategy here from Dark. Took a very roundabout pattern to get here, and it's going to be a proxy hatch outside of the base of Stats. And you know, I love seeing this kind of quirky play coming out of Dark, and it's exciting, don't get me wrong, but I am a little bit sad that I'm not seeing what Stats really has in store for us. Like, welcome back to the GSL Stats. Here's a Nydus Canal and a Proxy Hatchery. Yeah. Whatever Dark cooks up, though, I'm sure it's going to be good. It's going to be potent. And I kind of like the hatchery placement, even though it is quite, as you said, cavalier, being this far forward, because, you know, once Stats scouts all the possible expansions there for Dark, he knows that something's up. And it's going to be a Roach War in here. Speed also underway, so Dark really investing a lot into these early units. And shield battery is going to be coming up here for Stats. We'll see if he just decides to try to hold this with gateway units, if he throws down another gateway, or what exactly the play is going to be.
Good block with the probe there.
That's nice.
So, you know, if you can kill the hatchery, you've stopped the rush. There is 2 batteries being warped in right now. The first queen's about to hatch. We've got not enough lings for the time being to really make a difference, especially lings without speed are just so bad against stalkers. It's crazy.
Yeah, the problem is this hatchery is going to kick in with its production, I think, before the stalkers are actually able to kill it.
I think so.
I think the most likely scenario is that Stat's going to get it to like 15% HP, and then from then, Dark's, you know, his roaches are going to pop. He's going to have lings, and soon after that, he's going to have speed, and then Stats is going to be purely on defense.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I mean, if he does kill the hatchery, then probably Protoss just wins the game, and this game will be even shorter than the Nydus game. The lings are going to come forward now, and they are beginning to chip away at this 1 Zealot. We've got Now, Ravagers are going to be what actually allows you to win this fight, is when you can start to, you know, artillery down anything they've got in defense. Batteries are being made. There's still 2 batteries warping in, and then 2 batteries that have some energy on them. Dark has to be very careful to not overextend. Excellent catch there with the Zealot. That's just a little bit less damage now overall. Stats is still trying to hit this hatchery. I think he's exactly not going to make it, though.
Yeah, seems like Dark just knows his build inside and out, and right now he's kicking in here. Zergling's speed is done, able to get surround here on that Adept. It will go down despite that shield battery healing it. We have a lot of shield batteries behind this gateway wall.
Really good micro back there with the Ravagers. I gotta say,
Stats is controlling this really well, though.
Yeah.
The lean count, it is not grown at all.
All sorts of cool stuff like that.
We got a little bit of a Ling run by here. I'm surprised these ones got in.
This Ling is actually going to kill a probe. There's 2 probes that have been killed so far. This is actually highly unusual, by the way.
Oh, almost lost 3. That was close. And this is quite a bit of idle time, too, but only for a couple of probes. I mean, losing 2 probes this early, it sucks here for Stats. And I wonder if we're going to see the same build as we saw in game number 1. This is, again, kind of his bread and butter, is this very standard. I mean, it's not that only Stats is the one doing this, right?
Yeah.
You know, gateway into Adepts, into Oracles is just about as basic as it gets here. And oh no, we have another run by coming in.
Okay,
Adepts are just a moment ago. This is kind of falling apart.
Where were the Adepts, though?
I think they had just moved out of the natural ramp. So they're already back here. I mean, not only is Dark getting 3 probes in total, but this is so much scouting. He knows exactly where Stas is set up. And look at Stas' mineral bank, too. He wants these units to be securing a 3rd Nexus right now. He's at 400 minerals, but instead, these Adepts are just kind of playing ring around the rosy here with these Zerglings. And this is one of those things that I guess you kind of lose your touch for a little bit. Oh God.
Dude, this is almost too much.
Yeah, it's the 4th probe going down. I mean, again, Stats, like, he's just back here, and this is his first GSL Code S appearance. I mean, Stats going to struggle a little bit to saturate this 3rd base, and he's going to throw down a Twilight Council and a Forge now behind this. 3 Oracles once again here for Stats. I think that he hasn't really been able to get too much done of these because he's been so preoccupied with the harassment going on in his own base. But if there's been damage, it's been very minimal here from Stats. Okay, this is something he needed. He's going to trade one of these Oracles for some much-needed drone kills. Actually, no Spore Crawler here, so we're able to get a couple more. And that evens things up a little bit, but still...
There's a Nydus network.
Oh, there's another one!
Yeah, I almost didn't even notice it.
That's a good thing you caught that before we moved back to the Units tab. I did not notice.
I honestly would not have noticed it had he not tagged it there. So now I assume that he saw that. Every once in a while you'll have somebody who will fly over that and just kind of not identify, like think it's an Evo chamber or something like that. But I mean, you would have to imagine if you have literally about a minute and a half before that Nydus network is going to pop up, you should have enough time to react.
Yeah, we have cannons and batteries.
Stalkers patrolling in case it's in the main. It is, in fact, going to be outside the 3rd base here. It's going to be Ravagers and Zerglings.
Queen count right now at 6. 52 drones here for Dark as the Queens pop out. Surprised we're not having any creep timbers, but I guess Dark just really wants to keep the tempo here and continuously pressure here with these Nydus canals. And all right, here we go. Bile going to come down. That cannon will get canceled. Stalker count very low here for Stats, so not a lot of power with this Protoss army yet.
I do feel, okay. Now, you know what? If he kills the Robo, he probably wins the game.
I don't think these probes are going to be able to get that Nydus Swarm close enough for the Stalkers to actually finish it in time. We'll see. Things popping out. No Queens here to transfuse, so Dark not really committing to that natural expansion too much there, just kind of focusing his energies over here on the 3rd base. There's only 1 shield battery here. I think Stat still is hanging on to that overcharge. Has to be very careful about when he uses it. Defense much better here in Game 3 than in Game 1.
I almost feel like Stats is going to hold this.
He might. I think that shield battery might have just gone down there at the 3rd. And
oh, it did. Now, yeah, once you have enough Ravagers, you can blow up the shield battery, and then that's when the damage just spikes. And now, like, I remember like 10 seconds ago when I said like he might hold this. I'm looking at this. I'm like, no way, dude.
It's just a powerful army.
So much coming out here.
Oh, the SimCity here, not ideal for Stats either. Those Stalkers actually getting blocked. And I like the idea here with the counter harassment, but the Nydus Canal, I mean, it goes both ways, right? Can reinforce as some Queens come back home to defend this. And that's only 6 drones going down. As compensation, Dark took out the 3rd base there for Stats. Stats desperately trying to remake one over at the 12 o'clock position. And you got to kill this photon cannon, I think, man. Is there actually no path outside of that natural expansion? It kind of looks like it.
It seems like it. Well, he's trying to get Blink.
Oh, that's what he's waiting for, yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to get that upgrade done here. The issue with the way that this is like shaped, this entrance, is that you can't actually have all your units fight. It's like this really boxy hallway. It's hard to dodge Biles. Remember that, you know, even with Blink finishing, if this Cybernetics core dies, you can't make Stalkers anyways.
That's going to take a while to rebuild that one. Another Nydus Canal pops there at the third base. So Stats just sitting here on 2 bases for now. Oh, Immortal actually did get taken down there by a Bile. So with pure Ravager here, Dark just raining down hell on Stats. And I'm liking Dark's position here a lot, man.
And I only see 1 pylon, by the way, up at that natural.
Oh, you might be right.
Yeah. And so if he blows that 1 pylon up, I mean, I think we're done.
Bank right now for Stats. He desperately wants to make Stalkers right now, but
yeah, it's piling up over 1,000 minerals now.
Yeah, both supply block and waiting for the Cybernetics core to finish is a bummer, to be sure. Disruptors now in production here for Stats, so there might be an opportunity for him to stabilize, but I feel like the path forward from stabilization for Stats is just a longer and more drawn-out death, as much as I hate to say it. It's been a long time without having a third base. He's suffered a lot of economic damage, only at 50 workers.
Yeah.
Dark has complete map control, even has creep spread on Stats' side of the map because of that Nydus Canal.
Yeah, we may still be in this game, but that doesn't mean it's not over.
Actually, Swarm Host coming out here for Dark, so...
Oh, God. Yeah, the Swarm Hosts are probably the best way to just punish a kind of encamped, turtled Protoss, is just chip away at him over time.
Especially without too many Stargate units out right now. I mean, only 2 Oracles here for Stats, and let's have that bank. All right, Disruptor Shot coming in. Actually, is a pretty good one. Gets 3 Ravagers, but, I mean, this army is just so massive here for Dark, and it seems like he wants to send himself to the winner's match, Tasteless.
Yeah, this is looking pretty grim. Unfortunately, it seems that Stats is probably about to go to the loser's match here in Group C of the GSL. And yeah, there it is, in 3 very short and cheesy games. You know, the set, double armoring.
Gonna be Mech. Who cares about Cloak Banshees?
Okay, I get it. It's basically like until he kills that Overlord, he has Cloak going. So that if somebody scouts him, they're like, Cloak. Okay.
Yeah, that might be it. You're probably right, actually.
And so then, you know, the reality is he's going to go for Mech. So I think I've like maybe casted this type of game like 2 times, and I think both of them were Gumiho, or maybe 1 time Special did it. I think I actually did see Special do this once, or something similar. It was like a 3-base Mech play.
This is kind of Gumiho's comfort zone. I mean, anytime you see Gumiho with this many factories, he is in his happy place.
Yeah, you know, it's cool. I mean, he's always just not really cared what other Terrans are trying to do, and kind of figured out his own way, which I really respect, because I think especially too earlier on in the days in Korea, but you know, it'd be like a couple guys figuring everything out and then everybody's copying them, and he's just sort of managed to get his own approach, which shows that he's got a mind that kind of can figure this stuff out on his own. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fun one. I think it should be actually a pretty long game as well, unless we've got some surprises here.
It definitely has the potential to be. These Mutalisks, if they cause too many problems here for Gumiho, might be the only thing that could imagine that would speed this one up. Is we only just now have our first Thor in production, about 1/3 of the way done.
Oh, this is funny. They almost went right by each other.
Yeah. I think if you're Gumiho, you actually wish that Dark would go and chase down that Banshee so that your Thor has time to finish producing.
Yeah, you might be right about that. Another little attack in over here, and you know, the Cyclones are going to be able to chase the Mutas away, but I think, honestly, this is already kind of bad. Oh, okay, the Thor comes out.
Yeah, Thor's out, so Gumiho will eventually stabilize. He is going to take damage from this, but it's not going to be game-ending damage, and with the cost efficiency of these mech armies, Gumiho should have, if he's able to stabilize correctly, a lot of opportunities later in the game. Is Dark actually magic boxing the refinery there for Gumiho? Nice move. Gumiho should have a lot of opportunities later in the game as his supply continues to build to start to close the gap.
He's just going to max out on Roach, Ravager, Ling.
Also underway, so wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Greater Spire and potentially also Vipers.
Yeah.
Getting added into the mix soon. Armor Shredding Missile coming down. I like this.
Is he actually going to commit in here?
He's still going to commit.
Yeah. I felt like that was supposed to queue up the ZERG to leave, but he's like, no, I'm actually just going to do this. Remember that there are no tanks here. At least not yet. So, like, this is a lot of damage that's being dished out here. We've already had 7 SCVs be killed. He's continuing to make Lings and Roaches and Ravagers and everything else. So, he forced a liftoff, which is already a little bit of a victory. And there's a Nydus network that started again. So, I think the idea is the Terran is going to spend so much energy trying to get this third base here secured that then he just makes a Nydus inside the main and probably, you know, kills him from inside out.
Yeah, I imagine Dark sees this low siege tank count and wants to play the mobility game a little bit here with the Nydus Canals, because if siege tanks aren't in position in all these different bases to actually prevent those from going up, it could quickly become a headache here for Gumiho. But this is the power of Battle Mech, is being able to take a little bit of map control back. And I say that, and then Dark just continues to attack in here. He's feeling so aggressive today.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I think
confident.
It's just how fluid your position can be. But I mean, the truth is, I feel like, you know, we're watching Gumiho barely hang on right now, and I don't know how quickly Battle Mech can actually get back into the main.
Well, he's starting to add in more siege tanks, so there is an opportunity here for Gumiho to begin to stabilize a little bit more as we have some more trades coming in. Mostly Hellions getting traded out for Roaches, so nothing too important really changing hands, but this will free up some supply for Dark. Don't have the production tab open right now, so I'm not sure exactly how he is spending that newly available supply, but Greater Spire is underway, so Broodlords will be the...
So, you know, he hasn't really done anything with the Nydus. He hasn't really attacked in. Now Terran's going to try to push out. It's just hard for me to imagine a game where this is going to succeed, right? I mean, ZERG is going to run and maybe can't deal with this now, but eventually you can just start to hurl units after units after units on top of this and continue to remax. Both sides actually spiking up in both minerals and Vespian gas.
All right, Car coming in from two different sides right now on the engagement. These siege tanks spread a little bit too thin, some of them even unsieged, so Gumiho gonna have to vacate the position, save the Thors, and we'll see Dark remax probably on something to get ready to break down this spot. It's actually more Ravagers coming in, more Biles. I was expecting him to back off and maybe more some Broods, but instead he's happy to just kind of continue to press forward here.
Yeah, well, I think he's just seeing what else he can get away with and take this out. I do want to point out that Gumiho is kind of doing what he needed to do. Like, he is going to just continue to mine from his side of the map.
Oh, that's going to be the play. A lot of drop overlords over here, so I imagine we're going to see a big drop in the main base, and that's when the Nydus is going to pop.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense, too. I didn't expect it to be comboed together. I kind of thought it was going to be just Nydus or just drop, but yeah, that's a good point. Inside the main, there is a Thor. I think that's really more preventative for Mutas. I don't know how that's going to fare against that drop itself. But, you know, Gumiho is, you know, starting to kind of consume a decent amount of the resources here on the map. We're going to have that come out now. We have the Nydus Worm actually starting outside of the base.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, Nydus Canal popping.
What am I watching here? This is the worst drop I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah, this will...
It's just a Thor no-scoping ling after ling after ling.
Yeah, man, Thors, they pack a punch, and Gumiho is a big Thor enjoyer. I mean, he's got so many of these things. And, you know, I haven't seen a lot of Broodlords since they got that modest speed buff, and
yeah,
they're pretty quick. All right, well, Dark going to start sieging down what is the fourth base here for Gumiho, as the Thors are a little bit out of position, can't really deflect this quite yet.
Yeah, now he's over on the high ground. This is, you know, one of the unfortunate features of this expansion is, like, you can kind of just loom over this.
Oh, this is what the Nydus is for, too.
Yeah.
Dark is so good.
We're basically seeing the build up to what Dark wanted to execute over here. Now, the only base that's really viable outside of this one is the one that's just to the right, a little bit up.
Yeah, that top right expansion. So we do have some doors getting dropped forward to try and pick off these Broodlords, as they do pack a wall up here. A lot of those Broods going down, and we do have Neuroparasite also coming in on the Thors. Actually, two getting possessed there, so that's going to be Gumiho losing a sizable chunk of his army as the Thors go to ham on the Thors and the Broodlords take down.
It's Thor versus Thor.
Yeah.
But yeah, those eventually fall, and you know, Dark is just going to continue to accumulate more and more. Remember that these mech units don't build quickly. Certainly not as quick as these ZERG units. So at the end of the day, it's like, you know, how long is it going to take to refresh all these Thors and get them back in here? It's going to be a while. In the meanwhile, there's going to be a lot more Roaches and Ravagers coming.
Yeah, more Roaches and Ravagers coming in. Feels like Gumiho's army is almost entirely Thors at this point, as he has a dwindling number of siege tanks, just a handful, and a lot of command centers to his credit, but I mean, not much else really going his way. I feel like that last engagement, especially with the neural parasites, took so much of the firepower away from Gumiho, and now at 145 supply, it's going to be ages before he hits max again. I personally don't even think Dark is going to give him the breathing room to do it. Every
once in a while we get a game where Terrans play like this, and I do have to kind of do my little spiel again. Like, this is why we don't see this as often. It just doesn't seem to directly address the problems the Terran face against ZERG, right? You can kind of last for a little bit longer, but like someone like Dark is going to basically build up to all the right tech, all the right upgrades, and then set up something that's going to be so formidable off of the few bases that you have. Dark's bases are being untouched this whole game, essentially, right. and you know, it's this whole. It's like this weird way to play where it's like you're just trying to not die. Almost like one of those weird campaign levels where it's like survive for 30 minutes against the ZERG.
Yeah, that is what it feels like right now for Gumiho.
And it's like, it's just not happening, you know? Like, where in the world is when in the world would the ZERG come out, I'm sorry, the Terran come out and like push and win? Like, probably never, right? And so that's what we're seeing here. It's just, this is just not a great way. Hey, look, the moment that you know, Terran tries to fortify that spot, then there's another opening somewhere else. So, I don't know when GG is going to be called. I think we might be in here for a little bit longer, but I mean, this game is very close to ending here. Another location is going to be picked off.
Gumiho down to 39 workers as well.
Barely repairs that in time.
And the army supply here for Dark isn't too formidable. Formidable. I can't use that word.
Formidable.
Like a robo, just like rolling my bees. But yeah, it's not too formidable. I think. Oh, I love that Brewlord play. So this is this is karma for all those Terrans abusing like range upgraded liberators, the launch of Legacy of the Void.
I just realized that Brewlord's a really bad liberator.
Yeah, it kind of is. But I mean, Gumiho right now at 112 supply, the income just isn't there, even with all of these orbital commands and these relatively fresh bases. The income, it's just not enough for him to start to close the supply gap. And I mean, these mules, if they get cleaned up here at the 4th base for Gumiho, this idle time is just massive.
Yeah.
Those are minerals just down the drain, and Dark knows it. Gumiho knows it. I mean, the end game here for Gumiho, the ideal composition you want to work towards is eventually to mix in some things like potentially even battle cruisers to complement Thors and the siege tanks and truly build, you know, what would be an ultimate Terran army. But
it is funny to see this thing with the Ravagers where like they just shoot the tank down with their biles, and then once the tanks are gone, they just hit the command center.
Yeah.
You know? And so we're going to see this last base fall. I don't know. I think it's probably time to say GG. Gumiho, what do you say?
It does kind of feel that way.
We got battle cruisers, so that's novel.
It is novel. I mean, this has been Gumiho. Well, Gumiho has played this style a number of times, and usually this is kind of where he wants to get. I mean, obviously not while dying, but army composition-wise, as Dark adding some insult to injury here.
Ouch.
Oh my goodness!
GG.
What a way to end that.
That would.